And it's strange now because I think everything here now has changed so much. Young people have changed. I don't envy them. I know they might have it so well, but I think the way they behave, a lot of them, I think is horrific.
What's your experience of that?
Well, now?
Yeah, how do you perceive young
Only the
people?
fact of watching the television a lot.
Okay.
I know that one shouldn't do that, and you know, a lot of things are fed to you that are magnified or glorified or whatever. But I think I'm very sad for people today, particularly the old people.
Okay.
I think you could go into politics, but I think a lot of them have had a very bad deal. I think it's terrible the way the colour problem, which should never be, but is. I think of all the poor people who live in London in flats where they don't see anyone.
Yeah.
The animals, the children that are being mistreated, wives are being... terrible things.
Yeah.
I mean, and the war was terrible, but not in the way that it is.
Why do you think that's come about? How do you think we seem to have got distance from that sense of community? How do you think, is it that community's gone or disappeared or?
Disappeared because I thought funnily enough, a lot of it has come back in certain parts.
Okay.
And you've seen communities suddenly come together. And that old people that can't get out, you see it on the neighbours have all banded together, delivered things, items of great kindness. But I just think this pandemic is like some horror movie. And I know because I've been, since I fractured my hip, upstairs, I've escaped from here only a little, and I find it terribly lonely.
Okay.
Yeah. Neighbours are good, but people all are solitary and keep to themselves, and I think they're frightened. Yes. I don't know what of, but life itself.
So you said you talked about possibly going into politics. I'm intrigued as to how would you if you could. What ticket would you stand on? What would you go for?
Well, when I was young, I was an ardent member of the Young Conservatives,
okay,
and was for many years. But I don't know now. I don't know. And it's the same with religion. I've taken, the older I've got, I have big question marks over all of my beliefs that have been so strong at one time. But when you see some of the terrible things that happen, not just here in England, but abroad, I think so many people wanting to go on holiday. Why? Why?
I'm with you.
Yes.
And my children, I have 4 children, 3 sons that live on the mainland and my daughter who works for the NHS here on the island. But they all say the same with you. What's the matter with people? You know, we live in a lovely countryside, which is gradually being ruined by all this railway that's going up for the for the rich, to swathes of farmland and agricultural land. Well, obviously it's the same thing, and all our ancient woodlands. Perhaps because I've been an antique dealer, I trained as a teacher actually.
Did you?
And did teach on the island, and for a long time, ages ago. And my sociology lecturer always said to me, she said, "You will not stay in education, you will do something with antiques."
Oh, really?
So, yes, I had a shop in Gurnard and I had 2 shops in Newport. But I wouldn't want to be dealing in antiques now. I
No.
think that's all changed.
Okay.
But it's knowing the value of something, isn't it?
Well,
Regardless of whether it's an object or whether it's a piece of land or whether it's a piece, like, but not in the same way as money, but knowing how much it's worth in history and...
Oh, in history?
Yeah.
Yes. But what is so strange now, when you see the rubbish that is sold for vast amounts of money, like industrial things,
Okay.
we only have to look at the different programmes on it, and then you come across something really lovely, which they're almost giving away.
Okay.
Now would be the time for young people to set up home.
Yeah.
But you see auction stopped, car boot sales stopped, our whole livelihood changed. And it's still, I don't think, seeing from someone sitting in her prison, that, yeah, I think it's a sad time and a good time together.
What about the town and the people that visited? What was that like? Obviously after the war, but-
Totally different.
because one thing that I remember my mum enjoying the most about, I was a child that every Cows Week we were up and down the high street,
Yes.
long to the green and back. We probably did it 10 times a day, and I
Yes.
still love that. I still park at the top of the high street and I come
And
along
you
to the
come-
green and I go back. That's my favourite thing to do.
Yes.
Um,
And
But
so
sh-
many other people.
Yeah, but she would say she loved to come down because she loved to see the Squadron or the London. There'd always be balls on, there'd be people dressed up. The difference in how it's changed, the beer tent up on the parade. But what else happened in Cowes and around that was sort of lovely
Well,
to see?
I think to have been in Cowes in Edwardian times, in Victorian times, what a different thing it would have been. You would have seen what I call class distinction.
Mm.
The Squadron, when I was young, because I used to sail, my husband, we both sailed, and we had I had a scow when I was about 14.
Okay.
But in those days, it was the enormous yachts. It was a guard ship in Cowes, but not after the war, not in the war I'm talking about. And it was a lovely time. Northwood House would have the marquees, which you went into if you were going to a dance, and it was like magic going into a wonderland. And you'd be dancing if you went to a London ball. It might be Princess Anne next to you or the Duke of Edinburgh. And it was the Glanville twins, these two fellows, who used to have a theme in the marquees for Cows Week. And the London, they had a marquee. And the people who went to the Squadron were people who had not been blackballed by the Squadron because they were people with money and class.
Okay. What's the difference between people with money and people with money and class?
Money has gone to the wrong people. I don't have any. I'm not that type of person. But I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
When you could see these men walking four abreast through the high street in their white trousers and their yachting hat and a monocle. There was Emile de Sola, he was a real character. You'd see him walking through. You never knew who you were going to see, famous. But over the course of years, everything's panned out. To get into the Squadron now, it's what you've got. If you've got the money, you can get in.
Okay.
At that time, you had to have class, and I mean inherited class.
Landed gentry.
Yes, landed gentry.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was it. And it was them and us. You almost feel you had to doff your cap to them. And when they walked through, everybody sort of parted company and looked at them. But that wouldn't happen now at all.
No.
No, it's wonderful in the way that everybody can sail now.
Yeah.
Which has opened a door, and that I think is very good. It gives pleasure to many.
Yes.
The good and the bad.
Mm.
The old, the young, the ugly and the beautiful. Everybody mixes, you know. What it'll be like, well, of course last year they didn't have it.
No.
No.
No, it's been. I think Cows Week's a special part of. I mean, I'm not from here, but having been involved with the school for 15 years,
Yeah.
I fell in love with Cows Week.
Yeah.
I really loved it.
Well, I think everyone does because it's an eclectic mix of everything.
Yeah.
And which is fine. What it'll be like this year, I don't know. Who knows with this pandemic, are they going to extend it now because the virus seems to be the Indian one spreading? I don't know. Everybody's got a big question mark over their heads.
Absolutely.
They have.
Yeah. So there's some pictures around that I noticed. There's a couple of wedding photographs over there. You said you've got four children.
I've got 4 children.
And where are they now?
Now?
Yeah. What do they do?
Well, as I say, my daughter,
Next door.
yes, she's in the NHS. She works alongside the physios.
Okay.
She isn't a physio, but she almost does the same work as the physio. They work side by side. And she's at Ryde at the moment. And I was in the care home at Ryde too, which I loved.
Did you?
It was a good one, yes. And then she has 2 children. That is Lottie, who is the smaller frame. She is married to Ollie. They were married in a registry office in Salisbury, and we had a large marquee, which was our croquet lawn, and which was fantastic. It fitted it perfectly, and it was like magic. We had lighting in the trees, we had a bar. Wonderful. It was magic. I do miss my car.
Yeah.
That has been a killer for me, having that taken, yeah. I can't drive again.
Really, you won't be driving again.
Well,
Yeah.
I shall soon be 90. It wouldn't be fair. I know I could drive, but the family don't think I would.
That's really interesting, that one, isn't it? Because similar thing with my dad. He had a heart episode, we call it, last year, and then he wasn't allowed to drive afterwards. He loves driving.
Yeah.
And getting him to return to driving, he saw it very much as, you've taken it away. And I said, but no, Dad, it's about the risk
Yeah.
for other people. You've got to be
That's
considerate.
what mine say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's back driving again. He's 87.
And I'm 89.
Yeah. So I've got so many questions for you. One is, that car must have given you enormous independence and freedom to go
This
wherever
is
you want.
why I have mental problems now. Because I can't bear to be left alone.
Okay.
I can't bear it because when I had the car there, no problem.
Nip out.
It was there if I wanted to go out. Probably I didn't want to go out.
Mm.
And I was in here on my own. I didn't mind. But now, it's terrible.
Okay.
Terrible. And I'm in 2 minds that I think the children think that I should go into a care home.
Okay.
I don't want to. I can't imagine myself in a care home because I've seen so many. The one I was in Ryde, that was wonderful.
Okay.
But, that was rehab, so you couldn't, it wasn't residential. The Highfield.